All right, guys, we're getting back to it this morning out at Harrisburg Park. This is the makeshift track. You got to use what's in your environment. So this is an 800 meter, roughly about a half a mile around here, one lap, little track area. There's a bunch of soccer fields in the middle. This is where Cam and I come. This is where we did all of our great workouts last summer and fall when I was leading into my 119 half marathon. So this morning I think I'm gonna get some mile repeats in. I've been feeling like my speed is what's kind of holding me back right now. Or not holding me back, but my biggest area of weakness. That is one thing to watch out for with this high mileage style of training, is you can neglect a little bit of the speed. So this morning I'm gonna get some warm up in, probably 6 to 8 miles depending on when Cam shows up. I like to get a high volume warm up in, so nice 45 minutes to an hour, get the blood flowing, get a ton of that aerobic mileage, and then we'll get right into the 4x1 mile. I don't know how fast I'm gonna take it. Like I told you guys last week, I like to take these by feel. So it could be I'm hitting 630s, it could be I'm hitting 540s, depending on how I feel. My goal though is hopefully get sub 6 for most of these, ease into it, and then we'll see how it feels. But the goal, the purpose of this workout is just to get that turnover in, to work a little bit of that threshold so that when I get to this race pace workout later this week, it feels a little bit easier and I'm continuing to develop my lactate threshold, which is a key part of this marathon type training. It's dark out here, man. I haven't come here in a while. In the winter it's quite dark. But what's nice is that they got the little hut with the bathrooms. That's the key thing. If you're gonna find an area to consistently come and do your workouts in the morning, you gotta find one with a bathroom. Pro tip. And we got on the Boston 12s this morning. Alright guys, just finished this 4x1 miles, gotta get my gloves back on. There's a time for getting some B-roll and talking to you during the workouts, and there's a time for just putting the hard hat on and executing, and today was an executing day. Wasn't really trying to mess around. I ended up ripping off most of these at around 540 and then working down in the last two to 535. Like I said in the beginning, I would have been happy with anything below 630, but 540s felt smooth and controlled, felt like I had a little bit more gas in the tank, and worked down to 530s there. My main approach with these workouts during marathon training is not to force it, keep it smooth, and just let whatever pace is gonna come to me that day flow through. Now, the most important thing about executing on these workouts going into it is knowing what the intent of the workout is. And that's gonna be way more important than just hitting a certain pace. And today, for me, I knew that I wanted to go run faster than race pace. Like I said in my half marathon breakdown that I did a few days ago, it's super key to be running at least once a week faster than race pace. Last week, I did a 6x800 workout. So this week, 4x1 mile felt like the right next step for me. Add another mile of work into that session. That was the first key thing going into it today. I knew the intent of the workout. It's to get that turnover in, work a pace that's faster than race pace, and hit some lactate threshold. Now, the second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about today was what to do after a bad workout. So I don't know if you guys saw this, a lot of you follow me on Strava, but my 18-mile long run on Saturday was the absolute worst run that I've had in this training block. It might have been even the worst run that I've had in the last 6 months. So coming off of Duke last week, I was super underfueled. I was doing the best that I could to just get in as many calories as possible, but there weren't too many options in the dining hall there that worked for the way I eat. I don't eat meat or dairy, and so I was doing some ordering. Chipotle was a big lifesaver. I had that for dinner 2 nights in a row. I was slamming the free Cliff Bars they had there. I was getting Shake Shack a few times to just get my calories up, but I went into my long run on Saturday super underfueled, and one of my things that I said in my Saturday video about half marathon training was never go into the long run underfueled. So I violated my cardinal rule, went into that long run underfueled, and I was actually planning to do a workout within that run. It was probably gonna end up being 22, 23 miles. And at the 8-9 mile mark, I completely pulled the plug on that idea and said, I'm just gonna coast to 18 miles at whatever pace I can get in today, because this is just not gonna work. So one of the key areas of growth that I've had is is when I did my first marathon training block, every single run I did felt like an ultimatum of my fitness. I would check the heart rate. Is my heart rate at a 7:30 pace higher or lower than it was 2 weeks ago? How was my pace for this 8-mile run? Was it higher or lower than it was 2 weeks ago? And it felt like every single time I was going out the door to run, what the data told me at the end of the run was telling me whether my fitness was progressing or not. I've now matured in my running journey where I know that every single run is not an ultimatum of my fitness. Every single run is not telling me whether I'm progressing or not. However, if you look at a 2-week block or a 3-week block, which is what I've been doing, 3 good weeks of training and then a down week, that's gonna tell me whether my fitness is progressing. So is my long run length extending? Am I feeling better at the end of those long runs? And yes, we can look at pace too. Is marathon effort getting a little bit faster? And I say effort, not pace, because I like to train my effort, as you guys know. And last key thing here, how is my recovery doing? Because that's a key part of building fitness as well. We don't just want to be getting faster on our everyday runs. We want to be recovering faster too between runs so that we can hit the next one harder and build more fitness, because as you guys know, the way to build more fitness is to stack progressively harder workouts on top of each other. So cheers. Getting this recovery in right now. Shout out to Tailwind, by the way. I got accepted into their partnership program. You guys have heard me talking about this for months now, and I'm also gonna get a discount for you all so you can try Tailwind. Now, the last key thing I want to talk to you guys about before we get a little bit into the shoes is how to use data during runs. As I was saying a few years ago, I used to look at every single run as a barometer of where my fitness was at. And similarly, I would look at my data during the workout to see how the workout was going. And that can be super dangerous. Real-time performance data is great in business and in running, but it can also force us to look at the wrong thing and give us negative feedback signals that actually decrease our performance. So for example, during my warm-up today, I looked down at my watch. I was running, a 720 to 740 pace, and it told me my heart rate was at 170, which my heart rate should be at that place when I'm running about 530 or 540, 550 pace. And this is a new watch. I'm not completely sure it's gotten all my data right. The Coros might not be that accurate with heart rate tracking, but even knowing all that, I saw that 170 figure and immediately said, my fitness isn't there right now. Something's wrong. I'm under recovered. I'm overtrained. I'm not gonna be able to hit these mile repeats. And then I quickly pulled myself out of it and said, dude, come on. You know that you shouldn't be looking at the performance data, the real-time performance data, because it gives your brain signals about what you can and can't do. So I snapped out of it and I executed. And so all this data that our watches give us and that maybe you have a Whoop give us about our sleep, our recovery, our pace, our running fitness, what time we can achieve across all these distances. Felt like I was building up to a good place and now the train is coming through. I don't know if you guys can hear that. All this data is great, but I really want to emphasize how important it is to train by feel and to know your body better than the data can. So the data can suggest to you what you might or may not be up to that day, how your recovery is going, but ultimately we need to have a sense of our own bodies and how we can execute each day. And so after that Saturday long run, super underfueled, felt terrible. I focused Saturday on getting a bunch of calories in once I got back home. Sunday, same thing, watching the NFL playoffs, watching my boy Mahomes ball out, watching the wretched Bills go home, just focusing on getting the calories in. The camera died, so we're doing the phone now. The key thing that I wanted to hammer home though is it's super important for us to know our bodies, know when to ramp up the intensity, know what pace levels we should hit without having to look at a prescribed pace schedule, and also to know when we should ease off. And so yesterday I took a recovery day for the first time in, a month or so, because I knew after that 18-mile long run that went absolutely terrible that my body needed a time to recover. And that's why I have my non-negotiables. I have my mileage, I have my long run target, and I have my workout target where I know I want to do at least one workout a week. I don't do run streaks. I'll take a day off whenever I feel like I need it. Yesterday I felt like I needed it, and today it proved that that was a good call because I got in one of my best workouts of this cycle. So I hope this gave you some insight into how you can improve your marathon training by running by feel instead of sticking so tightly to a schedule. And it's gonna take some training blocks to be able to do that. This is now my 4th training block using this method. For the Charlotte 2022 marathon, I used a traditional coach, I used a traditional schedule, and then all throughout last year with my half marathon training blocks, I trained by feel. I didn't hold myself to any pace targets. I didn't hold myself to any exact, I'm gonna hit this pace, I'm gonna hit this mileage during this workout, and it's worked wonders for me. So in terms of your own training, I would ask you to implement this for the next workout, even if you do have a prescribed 6x800, 4x1200 on the schedule. Instead of going into it with a hard number in your head that you want to hit this pace, go into it with an effort target. Don't look at your watch maybe until the end of the workout and see how the performance doing that matches up to the performance where you did have a pace target. All right, guys, I had to get back in the warm car real quick. That's a pro tip, by the way. If you're gonna go drive your car somewhere to do a workout in the winter, bring a change of clothes. I got this nice Uniqlo fleece. Actually, I have no shirt on underneath, but you don't wanna let that wet shirt from the workout stick on you. Even if it's cold outside, it's just gonna be disgusting and you can get sick that way. Anyway, quick update on the Boston 12. So this thing has about 260, 270 miles on it right now. I'm about to cross the 300 mile mark with it this week. And I brought the new Flash 2 into my rotation last week from Mizuno. But this thing is still top dog for me in the plated trainer segment. There's nothing that's been able to match it for me, for my running style. It really comes alive at anything faster than about 740 pace. So around 740 is kind of the tipping point for me for easy or relaxed running to a little bit of faster everyday running. So faster than 740, this thing feels great. When I'm running with a little bit more strength, when I'm popping off that calf, that forefoot, this thing feels amazing. So warmed up at about, I think, a 730 pace today. These felt alive just right out of the gates. And then down to those mile repeats, 540s, 530s, these felt really good. So I've said this before, but I think there is some confusion with this because if you look at it and you look how thick the stack is out in the heel, it's in that mid-high 30 range. People think this is gonna be a shoe that you could just plod along on, cruise along in, but that is not the case. You really gotta be running fast to get the most benefit out of it. And when you are running in threshold, half marathon pace, 10K pace, 5K pace, that's where this thing shines. This is still my favorite fast marathon training shoe right now. The Mizuno Flash 2 has not knocked it off yet, but I'm gonna have to get a little bit more miles in it to see. But this thing is a little bit more versatile. You can do long runs with it. I think I've taken this up to 20 or 22 so far, and it's been amazing. Flash 2, I'm not sure if I would take it up to 2022. So anyway, guys, if you watched this point, please let me know what other training topics do you want to see me address. I'm really ramping up my marathon training right now, and I'd love to bring you guys along with me. So let me know in the comments what other training topics you want to see me talk about. What kind of workouts do you want to see my take on? Let me know all of that, and I'll make sure to prioritize that in the coming weeks. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another video.